us the story about the man going to Alabama again.
I'm sorry, hold. Sounds like it's coming back.
There was a man, wanted this man to take him to Tallahassee to see some of his people, said they were sick. He told him he'd take him, and did. So he went on to near Heflin, Alabama, and come back and picked him up. This man that he took, being a good Samaritan to him, he come back and told the company that he got drunk, which he was about 35, 40 miles beyond where he left him at. Well, they fired him, and he stayed out of work about 2 months. And they found out that the man did lie about it. Well, they put him back to work. And just such as that is what you had to contend with then. And there's people just don't understand what people had to go through with then. It's unbelievable, to tell you the truth about it.
How did you feel working under that kind of pressure?
I didn't like it. I didn't like it. Wasn't satisfied at all. Now, after I went to work at Sargent, that was still textile. I loved it. The company was altogether different. The people was different. They would help you. They cared for you. They had feeling for you. And it was just altogether different. And you can work for a company like that, and work for the company, and work with the company. I tried to make the company every dime I could, and be a good Samaritan about it, and didn't try to run over anybody. I wish people would come forward today and explain to the young people and tell the young people what we've had to live through, where they could understand and get more prepared for it for themselves. I think that would be a great teaching to them, and make them understand what it could lead up to if they don't stand up for the rights. And that's the reason I'm glad to tell y'all what I know about it and what I've experienced about it.
Okay. We want to talk about Mutt Jones and Mr. Wilkins. Tell us about those fellows.
Well, Mutt Jones, he was just a farmer up here, and how he got into it, I don't know. But anyway, he got into this union business, him and Homer Wells. And Homer Wells, like I said, was from the Grange. And they persuaded a lot of people into it, which I really believe that they knowed it wasn't right, like they was trying to organize it. Anybody should have known that wasn't right and wouldn't stand up. Anybody should have known that. Looked like common knowledge would have taught them better than that.
What do you think they did wrong?
Well, by going and trying to shut plants down, by locking them out of their own business and everything, that's just like me going to your house and lock your door and say you ain't going in. And that, to me, that'd be just about the same difference. And that was altogether wrong. And they caused a lot of delay in shipment. It caused a lot of companies to lose a lot of stuff. And there just wasn't no sensible way to do it at all.
Do you think there would have been a better way?
Sure. If they'd got organized and organized right and worked right, and went to the companies and worked with the company and explained to them and told them what they was going to do, and they wanted to come up to their demand. But in all places there, they just took all power in their own hands.
Do you think the company would have listened to any union man at that time?
I don't think so.
Well, just say that, but I don't think that.
No, I don't think they would listen at them. But
I don't think the company would listen.
No, I don't think the company would listen at them. But still, to been on the right track, they should have went to them and talked to them, to like they do up north. The companies and the union get together and sit down and talk it out. But they didn't do that here. Yep.
Do you know what talk about the union dues and what they charge you to sign up for.
That now I can't say 'cause I don't know. I can.
You never signed up.
I couldn't tell you
Okay.
'cause I didn't get that much dealing with it.
Did you know about these people getting rounded up and taken to Fort McPherson?
Yeah, that happened up here at the old mill.
Were you around at that time?
Yeah, I was down to East Newnan.
Okay.
That was I had for the same company I worked for.
Could you just describe that?
Well, they said that they got everybody's up there. They even got onlookers. Some of the merchants up in town was down there going to see what happened. They carried them in too. They carried everybody that they got down there. They carried them, locked them up. And some of them said to put them in a plain open place in Atlanta. I don't know what they done with it. But they got a lot of people up there. And I was glad I wasn't up there. Yeah.
Were any of your friends in the suite?
No, not the people that I knowed, because it was altogether a different place. And there was some of them I knowed about, and know the one I've seen them, but for being close friends and everything, we wasn't that close.
Did you go up there to see what was happening?
No, man. No. No, I just close. I wanted to be down to East Newnan. No, I didn't go up there.
Did you see any of the troops?
No, I didn't see any of the troops, because, see, that done come and happened while we was down there at East Newnan. Now, we'd done gone to work, back at work at East Newnan, when this happened up there. They done opened the gates, unlocked them, broke the locks, and let people back into work down there. And that's another reason that we wasn't up there. And we was advised not to go up there too, because they sent them word that they're going to send the National Guards down. They sent them word. But they didn't think it would, I don't guess. But they got fooled about it.
Should we hold it?
Yeah, let's go ahead and hold it. It's probably going to get louder.
The Sergeant Mill. Explain, just to say, I went from the East Indian Mill to the Sergeant Mill, and tell us why.
Well, that was in wartime. And
But I mean, when did you leave East Newnan?
I left East Newnan in 43.
So you were at East Newnan right the way through the 30s?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I see, okay. Then no, I had that wrong then. Okay. Now, were you ever asked to leave that employ because of drinking?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Could you tell us about that?
Well, one night, there's a boy come got in my front yard and was cussing and carrying on. And me and him like to got in a fight. Well, somebody went and told it I was drunk. Well, they laid me off. Well, I went on down Grantmore and went to work. Then they wanted me to come back, and I went back up there and worked again. And I worked in till the war come up. They got talking about freezing people. Well, I wasn't fixing to be froze at that place. So I went out in Alabama on farm and stayed out there long enough to where I could be loose. I come back to sergeant and went to work sergeant. And that's where I stayed till I retired. And like I said a while ago, sergeant company was all together a different company, a different command, different supervisors. Wouldn't run no ways like East Newnan was run at all. And the company appreciated the help.
We've heard a lot of stories about Mr. Woods.
Well, I'll just have to tell you the most of the stories. If it was bad, it was true. I'll put it that way. Because he didn't have no respect for nobody. He didn't have no care for nobody. He was 100% company man. And for having any care for his help, he didn't have no care to no feeling. Either one for him. That's the best way I know to put him.
And yet he was superintendent of the Sunday school.
Yeah. He got it up in his head one time and he was going to make all his hands down at East Union go to church and Sunday school. But that didn't work. People had other places to go. He wanted to know how come it wasn't in church. They had sick people, or they had somewhere they had to be. So that didn't work out. But he tried it.
Could you talk about blacks in the mills at the time?
Well, at that time, the only blacks that I knowed of it was in the mill was in the opener room and the picker room. That's about as far up as it went. The rest of it was white all the way on up. But in the opener room and picker room, they did have blacks then. But I don't think, in those days, I don't think there were too many blacks wanted to work in the mill, to tell you the truth about it. I don't think they wanted no part of it.
Why?
Well, one thing I think was because they knowed it was hard work. And they knowed how people, they'd hear white people talk about how hard it was. And I think that was the main thing. I don't think it was races is what done that. I think it was just that hard labor that they didn't want to tackle with. Because back then you never seen a white man come around hunting a job.
Now, we've got a document. Do you have the document? In Washington. You want to show it to him?
You can show it to me, but I can't see it.
Oh, I see. All right, then, Judy.
Yeah.
I want you to show Miss Judy.
Yes.
You have to get closer to him.
Speak loud.
And
Okay.
speak loud. And you see how high you are?
Got to drop down?
You got to drop down. That's it. That's
Okay.
fine. Thank you.
I'm over here.
You're on a chair.
No, I'm okay. Okay. I was in the National Archive about a month or so ago, and I looked under the heading of Noonan Cotton
Hold it
Mills.
just a minute. I'm rolling. I do.
Enough?
Yes.
Fine? Okay. I was doing some
No, call his name.
Okay. Lonnie, I was doing some research at the National Archive about a month ago, and I was looking in the section marked NRA complaints, and this was a section of materials that were gathered under the NRA program. And the way that it was organized was by mill company. And so, since I knew I was coming to Noonan, I was interested to see what kind of materials were in this archive under Noonan Cotton Mills, number 1 and number 2. And one of the things that they found was that after this strike, a lot of the union officials decided that they wanted to bring grievances against the companies on behalf of the employees that had joined the union because they felt that they'd been discriminated against. And what I found was very interesting. First I found in one section were a group of letters. I didn't find any from Noonan, unfortunately, that mill workers had written in 33 and 34 discussing a lot of the same things that you discussed, talking about problems with a stretch out, that kind of thing. And really describing the hardships that they were enduring and why a lot of them were probably going to strike or join the union. Another thing that I found was later on, after the strike, like I said, were these...
Covet.
I'm
We
sorry,
gotta start
too
all
long.
over again.
There.
Go.
Okay. Lonnie, I was at the National Archive in Washington about a month ago researching materials about the 1934 textile strike. And what I found in one section of the archive were documents in a file called Noonan Cotton Mill, which were materials that documented grievances that the local union here, the UTW in Noonan, brought up against the Noonan Cotton Mills after the strike on behalf of workers that had joined the union and whom they felt were discriminated against and were not given their jobs back, and some were forced to evict. And what I found here, and one of the ways that I was able to locate you, was that I found that your brother's name was here, and I believe your sister's name, and I'll read it to you. It says, "Dear Mr. Coffey," and Mr. Coffey was the director of the Atlanta Regional Labor Board. It says, "I wish to make a complaint of union discrimination in violation of Section 7A of the National Industrial Recovery Act against the Noonan Cotton Mill No. 2 in Noonan, Georgia. This company has refused to reinstate a large number of strikers and members of the union that were in the employ of that concern at the time of the strike. Many workers, not members of the union, with less seniority than those refused employment, have been employed. Your prompt investigation of this complaint will be greatly appreciated. Following are the names of some of the workers that have been refused employment and are victims of union discrimination. And listed here is Dusty Morris, Spinning Room.
That's right, yeah.
Who'd been employed 1 year, and Oscar Morris, Picker Room,
Yeah.
who'd been employed 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
And on another document, it says, of these employees, 9 occupy houses in our village, and their removal will also take the following members of their family.
You're watching Judy all the time.
Watching her, all
Is
right.
that hard?
And,
No,
Okay.
5,
If I look at you, I have to turn and look at you.
4,
Yeah, I don't have no side view.
3,
Good.
2,
Oh.
1, anytime.
Okay. I have 2 documents here, Lonnie. I have to start again.
Start louder too, please.
Much
Okay.
louder. Much louder.
How's this, Whit?
Okay, look at him when you say.
How's this, Whit?
Much better.
Okay.
Anytime, Judy.
Okay. Lonnie, I have 2 documents here from the National Archive in Washington that were drawn up by the local union here in Noonan in 1934 because they were trying to help some of the strikers who... sorry.
Okay?
Take 2, stand by, please. Still rolling, and action.
Lonnie, I have 2 documents here from the National Archive in Washington which document the strike in 1934 that took place here in Noonan.
Mm-hmm.
And it lists a number of the people, the strikers, who really had a hard time afterwards. And these documents were drawn up by the local union here of the UTW who were trying to help some of those strikers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this first document I have is October 2nd, 1934, which is just about a week and a half after the strike was called off. And the second document is a document that is dated April 15th, 1935, and this document was written, I'm sorry.
2:10, Judy.
Stand by, please, and count. We're rolling.
Okay. Lonnie, I have 2 documents here, and both of them have your name on it, your brother's name, your sister's name, and members of your brother's family. One is dated October 2nd, 1934.
Cut. Start again.
Okay?
Take
6. Okay. Lonnie, I have 2 documents here from the National Archive in Washington, D.C., and both of them have your name on it, your brother's name on it, your sister's name on it, and members of your brother's family. This document was drawn up by the union local here just a week after the strike was finished, and it reads, I wish to make a complaint of union discrimination and violation of Section 7A of the National Industrial Recovery Act against the Noonan Cotton Mill No. 2 in Noonan, Georgia. This company has refused to reinstate a large number of strikers and members of the union that were in the employ of that concern at the time of the strike. Many workers, not members of the union, with less seniority than those refused employment, have been employed. Now, this is dated October 2nd, 1934. And it goes on April 15th, 1935, as part of a suit that was brought against the company. It goes on to say that this original complaint, under date of October 2nd, 1934, was submitted to the Atlanta Regional Labor Board by S.A. Holohan, Director, Textile Strike Headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. And it lists 23 complainants here. It says that prior to the strike, it says that on November 13th, 1934, Mr. R.H. Freeman, president of the mill, stated that the list of 29 complainants, 20 would not be rehired because of lawlessness when the flying squadron interfered with the operation of the mill. And some of these 20 are Oscar Morris, who I believe is
My brother.
and another one who's mentioned here is Dusty Morris.
That's my sister. Now, Oscar Morris had mentioned his family.
Well-
He didn't have any family.
Well, it says of the above employees, 9 occupy houses in the village, and their removal will also take Dusty Morris,
Yeah, that's my sister now.
Lloyd Morris,
That's my brother.
Mary Morris?
Marie Morris.
Marie Morris?
Marie Morris. That's my niece.
And Mariah Otwell.
I don't know that.
Well, I'm wondering why why your brother and your sisters are listed here.
That's what I can't understand, and why I'm listed there. I can't understand that. Now, my sister, the reason she was laid off, now after the strike and everything, she went back to work, and they put that stretch out on. She couldn't keep up. She couldn't run a job, hold the job down, and that's why they laid her off. She wasn't in the union. She didn't have no part with the union. That's what I can't understand about that.
Now, what about Oscar?
Okay, 10 seconds. 10,
No.
9.
Someone's talking in the background.
It's television or radio or something. No, it's family. 8, 9, 10. Stand by, please. Quiet, please. And action.
Well, listed in these names, one is Oscar Morris
That's my brother,
and Marie Morris
niece,
and Dusty Morris.
sister. There wasn't any of these in the union. That's what I can't understand. Can't understand that. I don't know how that come about. I don't know how it got in the archives either, like that, because that's, because Oscar, my brother, he worked there several years after the strike. See, this mill part of the time, it run full time, maybe a week full time. You might go 3 months and wouldn't get 1 day a week. I have worked on 4-hour shifts down there. And that right there, I can't understand it. Can't understand that. And Lloyd didn't have a thing to do with it, no way at all. No way. And I really can't understand that. Because somebody done some fighting that was using some names I think it wasn't supposed to be used. And I worked there till in the 40s. That's when, during the war, they got talking about freezing people. That's when I left. I left on my own, too. The company didn't have nothing to do with it. They tried to get me to stay on. But that's what I really can't, that's something new to me right there.
What was your brother doing during this period of time? I mean, during the strike, what was your brother doing?
He went to Alabama, and he stayed out there with my brother-in-law, helped him on the farm, fiddle around. And just, when everybody was out of work, they had to go somewhere, pick up a job, and that's what he'd do. And Lloyd, my other brother, he never did go anywhere. He stayed on there till he went in service. Had he went in service, he'd come back, and he stayed there till the mill shut completely down. He was there when it shut down, and then he went to Mercantoria.
Now, Judy, do we have an answer from the mill company itself?
We don't. I mean, what I know is that these were drawn up as part of a lawsuit and a hearing that was brought against the mill company in April and May of that period of time. And apparently, some of these folks were evicted. Now, it says here that your brother was going to be evicted from his home. Did that happen?
Now, my brother Oscar, the one you're talking about there, he lived with my daddy at that time. He didn't even have no house. He was just staying there with my daddy at that time. See, my brother was an old bachelor. And all that, there's something I can't explain because I don't know anything about it.
Do we have any statement from the company about that?
Well, Well, basic.
Just give us a moment to get.
To draw up
Okay.
a suit and using people's names.
Okay, just a moment. Let's find out what the company says, because there's a response from the company there. Brooks. Okay. What you have here, we have the people who the decision of the government was that the mill was to put these people back to work. So it's implied that they were out of employment. See if any of his relatives are on either one of these lists.
Okay.
See, these following above group are not listed along with any of the above group who are not eligible for immediate reinstatement. The list includes the following. See if any of those are.
Okay. All 30 complainants. This is okay. Eligible for immediate reinstatement in positions which have been filled since September 24th and for which they are qualified are the Bishops, Boswell, the Brookses, Chandler, Phillips, Roberts, Slayton, Spratlin, and Arrington. But that's all. Your family doesn't seem to be listed here as people that were eligible to go back to work.
Okay. Now, see if his family's listed in the other.
Well, the other is for mill number 1, and they were at mill number 2.
I see. Yeah.
So
Okay. Shall we roll?
we don't. I don't have any documentation on what happened to your family after the strike, except that they were, according to these documents, fired and were going to be evicted from their home. So what happened to Oscar and Dusty and Marie?
Well, Marie married, and she lived on there for, I reckon she was still working there when the mill shut down. Now, that was my niece. And Oscar, Lord, I don't know how many times he quit, went back, quit, went back. But he never was fired. That is what I can't understand right there. I really can't. But I will say this much. As far as that union would do anything. I guess you think I'm bearing down on union. But it was undermined all the way around, and it could have been they was trying to draw up a suit and just drawing up names to verify it or something. That I don't know. I can't say about that because I just don't understand it.
Now, underneath these names, it says, of the above employees, underneath where it says that your brother Oscar, and where your brother Oscar was fired because of his lawlessness when the flying squadrons interfered with the operation of the mill, underneath that it says, of the above employees, 9 occupy houses in the village, and their removal will also take Dusty Morris, Lloyd Morris, Marie Morris, and Mariah Otwell. And it goes on, of the remaining complainants, Lonnie Morris was fired for drunkenness some 3 months before the strike.
That was what I was telling you about that fella. Now that's right. That part's right. That's true. But that union business, that is altogether wrong. Huh? I can't understand it, really.
Now, the union is saying that these people are being discriminated against by, the union is saying that the company is discriminating against these folks.
Yeah, I understand that part. But what I don't understand is we didn't get fired, and it went in the archives like that. Maybe y'all can help me out with that, because that is new to me as it is to y'all, because it's really something. And my daddy, he was the one that rented the house when we moved there. It was in his name. And my daddy lived there in that one house till Rosa Lee. That was, oh, I'm sorry.
Cut.
Rosa Lee
We need to change tapes. Sorry.